And now for another episode of Confessions of an Online Psychic with your host, novelist, filmmaker, and authentic psychic, Dave Thompson.
Hey everybody, today is July 19th, the year 2020. This is recorded at 8 p.m. I'm doing that timestamp. It's also in the metadata for this particular episode because I'm going to be looking at some things that are happening now, and I want to make sure everybody understands that this is when it's being recorded. So the first thing I'm going to do, I want to look at what's happening with the virus, and then I want to look at what's happening with the exodus of people. There's a lot of unexpected and unexplained deaths. There are various causes of why they're passing along, but why now? Why so many? I'm going to pull some information. I'm going to see what my guides may have to say, if there's anybody else around me that may have anything else to say. And a bit of a teaser about something. Let's see here. Now that's it right there. It's called the Money Magic or Manifestation Boot Camp. I'm going to be running that in approximately 3 weeks. If you're interested, go to my group, Psychic Treehouse. The link is in the description of this video. That's just a little teaser. I'll be releasing another video on it here shortly. I had some very good results with this last money class thing we did. I saw some income. Several people, one person saw 30,000 come in by doing this one method. So I'm going to be focusing on that with the Manifestation Boot Camp, because I figure if you can manifest several thousands of dollars in the middle of an economic shutdown and pandemic, you're doing pretty damn good. Okay, so let me see what I can pick up here. Right now, I'm looking at a map of the United States. The area where I'm at looks like its curve is going to finally start going down. The Gulf Coast of the United States, it's popping up. It's blooms. I'm not talking just Texas and Florida. We're looking at the other states in between: Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Georgia. And then it's going to seem to be spreading. It's almost like a blob spreading up through the Kentucky, Tennessee, Missouri, Illinois area, Ohio. The thing everybody would probably want to know is, when does this current, and I don't see this as being a separate wave from what had happened in February, March. This is still a continuation of that, because I divine the waves as, say, it's bouncing along like this, and then there's a drop, and it stays drop, and then it comes back. We never really had that peak, that valley that you would need. So I think this is all still wave number one. September-ish, we're going to see, at least where I'm at, a flattening of the curve. Texas is still going to be an issue. Arizona as well. And then it seems to come back, but any district that does the distance learning and they implement what they need to implement are going to see fewer outbreaks than the states or the school districts that do just, hey, business as normal as far as school goes. A lot of schools in the California area are already talking about how they're going to have to be distance only. Uh, the term comes to my mind is pretty much a term that we call a shit show. As a writer, if I was to have written a story, short story, a screenplay, whatever, in which the basic premise was a pandemic that was made worse by people refusing to do what they need to do, refusing to social distance, refusing to wear protective things such as a mask, they would have laughed at me. Script readers would have laughed. An editor would have shot it back to me saying, "Try again. I don't buy people to be this stupid." But as we like to say, reality is far stranger than fiction. Let me see here. We still have the issue regarding the protests. We still have some issues regarding people protesting with the lockdowns. And I see, okay, this is interesting. I see another wave of demonstrations and protests, but these are against the government for not doing enough. Okay, there's going to be a rise of people who are going to be like, you know, we're tired of this. We're tired of it continuing to spread. We have to do what we need to do. Some areas are going to enforce and put down in some pretty restrictive lockdowns. It's like the old saying. It's locking the barn door after the horses escaped. It's putting the gate back up after half your cows have escaped. In a lot of ways, the country has turned into the type of thing. My grandfather on my mother's side, he had a thing he used to say. He would say, "Well, you just don't know enough for me to tell you." And that's what we're looking at. It appears to me that not only are the dead weights, the idiots in our society, making this worse, they're causing people to die from this virus that shouldn't be dying. It's an odd thing where somebody is sorry that they didn't believe it while they're trying to suck oxygen off of a ventilator. My daughter was on a ventilator about a year ago after her accident that she had. They were afraid that she was going to have a collapsed lung, so they put her on a positive pressure ventilator for a while. And she has made it very, very clear that if you have a choice between a mask or being on a ventilator like she was for any length of time, go with the mask. It is far better to not get sick and then later get a vaccination than it is to get sick, because we still don't know the long-term effects of what this virus has on the people who have recovered. There's a lot of things can happen: heart attacks and strokes, embolisms. The list is endless. Okay, so let me see what. Let's look at the rest of the world and see what I can see here. I'm seeing some outbreaks. Let me look at more outbreaks in China. I'm seeing some outbreaks in an area around the Baltic Sea. We're not going to hear a lot about that just due to the government there. They're not going to release the information. Outbreaks, I see some activity around through the central part of Africa. Let's look at, some outbreaks and blooming happening in India. And quite frankly, I haven't seen any news from India. Let's continue on eastward there, scrolling eastward. Always wondered why the United States kept calling that part of the world the Far East when it's only east if you're in Europe. If you're in the United States, it's the Far West. I don't understand that. Okay. At the same time, I'd like people to try to explain to me why politicians and people call themselves pro-life, yet they seem to want a lot of people dead. All right. Let's look. Okay, I glanced over. Let's look at Australia. Australia, blooming, blooming, blooming. I see a bloom still around the Sydney. I see blooms up what they call the Gold Coast now, just spreading. It's like a tendril. A few little spots, but over there in the western part of Australia, for some reason, I'm seeing some blooms. That one part of Australia that's on the map, far over, west side. I'm not picking up any. I'm not picking up any specific towns yet. Okay. The littler islands out around that area, they've got a good control of it. I want to look up, going up. I'm seeing some stuff happening in Argentina. Seeing some outbreaks happening in Brazil. Peru, there's not as many outbreaks there. The more denser areas, jungle areas like Venezuela, places like that, I'm seeing some blooms happening there too. And they seem to be stopped cold for some reason in Central America. I'm not sure why that is. Maybe there's just not enough testing there. Which then brings me back to the United States. I see not a lot of activity happening in either Mexico or Canada, but it's like the entire United States is awash in the blooms, the little blooms I keep seeing of it. All right, so we have had a lot of people passing over. It's almost like an exodus in Psychic Treehouse that has been talked about. Several people are saying. So I'm going to see if I can't get some information about that, kind of reset myself here for a second. Yeah. All right. It's part of an ascension process. The people that are leaving now are mostly incapable of being able to reach to higher vibrational levels. So they're doing so while they are in spirit. There's also, I'm being shown some dangerous times, especially for the United States. Depending upon which way the election goes, there's going to be a lot of shit happening there. It's not quite as bad as the situation was, say, in the 1860s, but we're getting close. The majority of the people are tired of the fringe elements in the United States having more power than they do, which there was a phrase used in the 1970s. I think maybe this originated with Nixon, but something about the silent majority. But in this case, the silent majority, they want moderates in control. They want educated people in control. But it's going to be so difficult because there's so many uneducated people who are screaming so loud. Okay, so see if there's anybody who wants to come forward. Okay, who are you? Oh, this is a young person. This is a young person. And they're saying you don't want to go with what she had gone through. Couldn't breathe, felt like she was drowning for weeks at a time. Very, very sick. You don't want to go through that. She says now, though, that when she can go through the reincarnation process, she'll be incarnating into a much better world, which is our future. How far ahead? How far ahead? 15 years. 15 years. So, okay. Or were you 15 when you passed away? 12. But her next life will be appearing in 2035. Is that correct? Yeah, okay. All right. That was one. Is there anybody else? Oh, the young man who was on Mythbusters. He's here. He's here. He said it was an excellent point for him because something about his logical mind couldn't comprehend the necessity of controlling your thought waves, your thought patterns, and that we have to reach for higher levels of thought. We have to not look at the emotions that are on the fear side. Stop being so damn analytical, he's saying to some people. We got to look at the emotional qualities as well. He just couldn't stand it anymore. He felt like he was being pulled. But he is saying it was a brain hemorrhage, which I've read, but it was quick. Unlike this disease. Okay. Did you have an untreated high blood pressure or anything like that? He says if he did, he didn't know. Well, of course, that's why it would be untreated. He says he'll be back soon, too. Okay, who else? Is there anybody else there wishes to speak? Okay, no one's stepping forward. But can I get a consensus as to why so many people, so many well-known people are leaving right now? Again, about the ascension. They want me to talk about that. Okay, so what we have, the situation in the United States and several other governments, is we have what we call a national security state, and they're wishing for a more dogmatic, they're wishing for a more dictatorial style of government. The best way to combat this is for us to awaken. The best way to do this, and I'm being shown again the idea of 1% of the population, just 1%. 1% can meditate and reach to a higher plane. Yeah, all right. Reach to a higher plane than we could help everybody. And so I'm going to be using my group Psychic Treehouse to try to set up dates and times once a month for as many people as possible. Just spend time in meditation. When I'm talking to those who have crossed over, they are not lowering into my dimension as much as I am reaching into theirs. And that is an ascension process itself. And when you go through this ascension process, you realize that what happens to one person on our planet really affects everyone. But what happens to our planet affects everybody else in the galaxy and the universe, which is why we're seeing true extraterrestrials stopping by. There are two types. There are what they call the reverse engineered craft that we will often see. People will see they're mostly the triangles, black triangles. Those are actually done by the national security state that is in the shadows here. And they must come out. We must expose these people because they're the ones that are pushing and leading us towards a type of totalitarian dystopian government that in which they have control and they can do whatever they do. We see it now with the death and the carnage that's being caused by certain elements of that totalitarian state already. Only thing I can do now is if you're watching this, just think real hard about when you go to vote this November, think real hard about what type of future you want to leave for your children and your grandchildren. Part of the ascension process is understanding that there's more people that are affected by your decisions than just yourself. The ascension process is not like what I've seen in the New Age stuff. It's not all love and light and fluffy bunnies or anything like that. It's the ascension rate of understanding that we can make contact with other people via telepathy and our thought waves. That's ESP. The ascension is going towards a more peaceful environment. And that's what they mean by that. It's not this nebulous reaching for Christ consciousness so much as it's just understanding our place in the world and how we affect it, how our thoughts can affect the world around us. So my advice now is for people watching this to do what you can to meditate, if not daily, at least once a week, and just reach for a higher set point of vibration. Reach for the ecstasy. Reach for the really feeling good, and just calm yourself. You don't have to stare at a wall. You don't have to. I will listen to audio tapes to get me into that mood. All right. Yeah, that's wow. That's it for this episode. I had no idea. Wow. When I went into the mode where I was talking to the other spirits, and now I look down at the clock and it's saying when it was that, how long I've been recording this and what time it is. So now it's more like 8:30 instead of 8 o'clock. There's the timestamp again. So I'll let you guys go. I will probably record another video in about a week-ish. See if there's anything new. I go by my group and ask to join to get in with the online conversations. All right, thank you for joining me, and until next time, I'm Dave, and I'm out of here.